Red Bull's Max Verstappen secures pole position for the 2024 Formula One Miami Grand Prix, ahead of the Ferrari SF-24 cars of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. The qualifying session held yesterday didn't follow the usual tactical script. The Miami track was quite challenging for the engineers, with the 45-degree track surface not allowing for the final evolutionary step in performance for the drivers. In the final push lap, there were many errors from various drivers due to a track that was unpredictable. In addition to this, Formula One teams like McLaren and Mercedes tried to extract their performance in Q3 by attempting a run on medium tires. The reason is related to the fact that, according to these teams, the harder compound allowed for less sliding. However, this attempt was not enough to improve the lap times of the W15 and MCL38, with the drivers setting their best lap times with the softer compound in the subsequent run. This tactic seemed like it could work, but actually undermined the drivers' confidence. Analyzing the telemetry data related to the average speeds at the apex of corners, we noticed that McLaren is the fastest in direction changes. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri exploit the pointing setup and the mechanical front grip generated by the pull rod suspension. Lando Norris, moreover, is faster than his teammate, as he is equipped with the complete update package. Regarding the slow corners, Charles Leclerc shows a performance similar to the drivers of the Woking team, although he didn't have the tires properly in the window in the second sector of the Miami International Autodrome in Florida. The Monegasque maintains an apex speed average higher than the Red Bull duo, even in corners 5 and 8, preferring the entry to the exit. Mercedes struggles at turn 8 due to the tires, unable to provide performance to the car after the short stretch in load due to the excessive energy input on the compounds. Furthermore, we can notice how Red Bull, compared to Friday, has changed its approach in the overall management of corners. Lower speeds compared to the opponents are not a sign of weakness, but rather the willingness to sacrifice the entry into the corner to better prepare for traction on exit and gain more on the straights. The data related to the drag reduction system highlights a similar management compared to the F1 sprint qualifying regarding the hybrid part. The choice made is to maximize hybrid thrust in the second sector with the open drag reduction system. In corner 11, Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez have the highest speeds. Haas has a lighter car that allows the drivers to achieve higher peaks. The two Ferrari cars have the same end of straight speed as the Miami sprint race. The technicians of the red team have decided not to change the aerodynamic load. Therefore, Charles Leclerc achieves the same reference, while Carlos Sainz is 3 km/h faster due to a tow. In corner 17, where all drivers have increased their maximum speed, the Ferrari drivers show a performance similar to Red Bull. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz exploit an efficient drag reduction system that allows them a speed delta of 44 km/h. McLaren, on the other hand, suffers from endemic resistance to the advancement of its cars, a problem that has been ongoing since last year and on which they are trying to intervene to improve efficiency. The two MCL38 cars are indeed the slowest among the top teams. Finally, analyzing the telemetry data, we see how Red Bull and Haas obtain better references on average on the straights, while Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren are slightly slower. Scuderia Ferrari is therefore on the front row at the end of the Miami qualifying session. Max Verstappen will lead Charles Leclerc at the start of today's Grand Prix, while Carlos Sainz will start ahead of Perez in the second row. The Dutchman's fastest time is not only an expression of his car's strength, but also of Max Verstappen's great ability to build a clean lap while maximizing performance. Max Verstappen set the fastest lap because he made fewer mistakes than Charles. The Monegasque struggled especially in the middle sector, where he experienced oversteer. Furthermore, there is an interesting fact which we once again point out. Most of the drivers achieved their best performance on their first attempt, thanks to slightly better track conditions at that moment. McLaren has regained some performance after the issues they encountered in the F1 sprint qualifying session on Friday. Lando Norris led Oscar Piastri, benefiting from the softer compounds in Q3. The Englishman indeed set the first attempt in Q3 with the medium tire and then posted the fastest time with the soft. The telemetry data analysis of the first sector shows good drag reduction system usage by Lando Norris, who, although not reaching the highest top speed, is able to maintain a higher speed throughout the straight. The Englishman also achieves a higher minimum speed in the middle of the corner, but is more cautious on the throttle compared to his opponents. Unlike Friday, Charles Leclerc improves the braking phase by delaying the braking point. Exiting turn 1, Max Verstappen has better grip and, thanks to setup adjustments, shows excellent traction. In this section, Max Verstappen has a higher throttle percentage, carrying more speed into the straight towards turn 4. In the fast snake section of the Miami track, Charles Leclerc is the only one to use the brakes at turn 4. But despite this, he achieves higher speed and average throttle percentage. The Monegasque delays the braking at turns 6 and 7, managing to gain overall throughout the driven sector. At turn 8, Max Verstappen chooses a rounder racing line, sacrificing the entry. As can be easily seen from the speed line, the Formula One world champion anticipates the braking and the apex in order to have better traction on the first long straight of the Miami track. At turn 11, Max Verstappen achieves the highest speed along with the Ferrari SF-24 car of Charles Leclerc, thanks to a very efficient car with drag reduction system open. However, the Ductman achieves better speeds on the straight compared to his opponents. In braking, the Ferrari driver once again provides a delayed input to the Ferrari, finding himself forced to delay the throttle use on exit. Additionally, at the center of turn 12, the Ferrari driver is again forced to correct the SF-24 to avoid losing it due to sudden oversteer. This aspect negatively affects lap time. On the other hand, the world champion's driving is smoother, much more aggressive on the curbs between turns 14 and 15. Compared to Friday, the Red Bull RB20 single-seater has improved in traction, which can make a big difference on exit from turns 15 and 16. The changes made to the rear stiffness have improved the car's handling in the slower sector. McLaren also appears very composed in the support of turn 12, making good use of mechanical rear grip towards turn 13. However, Lando Norris suffers from oversteer in the direction change between turns 14 and 15, forcing a correction. Exiting turn 16, Charles Leclerc arrives late to 100% throttle with his Ferrari SF-24 car. This causes him to lose ground at the beginning of the straight, as can be seen from the data regarding the speed. At the end of the straight, the top two again match in top speed, maintaining a similar speed throughout the Miami straight. At turn 17, with tires at the limit of their performance after the entire lap and outside the temperature window, the three begin braking at approximately the same point. Exiting turn, Max Verstappen is again the best in terms of lap time gain. The Dutchman decides to brake more than his competitors to have better car direction on exit. This consequently allows him to anticipate throttle use and be significantly faster in the straight towards the finish line. On the other hand, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and McLaren's Lando Norris pay for a more classic driving style, and despite the fact that they make fewer corrections than Max Verstappen on exit, they achieve a lower speed at the start of the high-speed section.